listening to
Whatcha
podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the What You Say podcast. My name is Alex, and I'm here with
Dad.
Today. We are going to be telling a very scary but funny story time involving me going missing. Yes, and this was about how long ago? Like 3 years ago or something?
Yeah, 3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah, so I was in high school when this happened. But so it starts off with my mom calling me, right? My mom calls me, she texts me, and I'm not answering. So she gets home, and she puts all her stuff down, her routine. She puts all her work stuff downstairs so it could get washed, getting ready to take a shower, to make dinner, get everything situated. And she can't find me. She looked in my room. She looked in her room. She looked in the back room. She looked in the basement. She looked in the kitchen, in the dining room, in the living room. And at the time, we had just moved into that house. And it's been like 3 months we were there.
There was stuff everywhere.
There was stuff everywhere. And so we had a painter in here. And he was there. He was painting the whole house. But at the time, he was painting in the living room / dining room. So he's over there just doing his business, whatever. And, says hi to my mom. My mom doesn't say, I can't get a hold of my daughter because she doesn't know. She doesn't know yet. She don't know where I'm at.
Yeah, well, I guess she's thinking that you were still at school or something, or doing like the activity
or around that time.
Yeah.
I would be walking in the door because she gets home around like 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So around that time, I would be getting there as well.
Yeah.
And then my dad usually would get there like, an hour or two later.
6 or 7.
And then we'd have dinner,
Yeah.
That's what it was. So she ended up calling my dad while he was at work and said, I can't find Alex. She's not here. I texted her. I called her. I don't know what to do. And so my dad said, well, you could call her best friend, like call people that would know where she would be, that she, hangs out with, that she's involved with.
Yeah, and I'll call my friends that I know in the police department.
Right, and see if we hear anything. So she calls my best friend, and my best friend obviously hears that I'm missing, so she's getting frantic. Everybody's getting frantic. She tells her mom. Her mom calls me and leaves a voicemail, texts me. She texts me, calls me, and no response. So my mom starts getting even more worried, and so does my dad. So she calls my dad again and says, listen, I called her best friend. I got in contact with a couple of her other friends and people who she's involved with. And
said that she left at the time that school let out.
Yeah, but nobody knows where she went from there.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad said, okay.
I was like panicking. I was like, oh, man. I said, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Like thinking like
the worst. You automatically go to the worst.
Somebody kidnapped her or somebody took her. I'm like, oh, it looks like I'm going to jail.
Yeah, so this man starts driving around after he gets off of work. I'm pretty sure he was rushing. He was rushing to get off of work.
I'm not Russian. I'm Puerto Rican.
You're stupid. So he's driving around for about, 15, 20 minutes?
I think it was a little longer than that, but let's just go with the 15 to 20 minutes.
15, 20 minutes around our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Everywhere
They probably thought I was a madman just driving
They
through.
probably thought you were a creeper.
They're like, what the hell? No, like
Looking
I would
for
go
somebody,
fast and then I would just like stop at the corner and just like looking. And I'm looking both ways. I'm like, I'm like, where's she at? Where's she at? I will find you. What's that guy's name? What's the guy's name from Taken?
Oh, man.
Anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about.
I can't think of his name. Yeah.
I will find you, and I will get you.
Stupid. And I will kill you.
Oh, my God.
That's what he says.
Oh, my God.
So he's driving around, and when you're driving around, what are you thinking? Like, how did you figure out what streets to drive down, where to go?
I better not see nobody like have my daughter gripped up because I'm jumping out the car, leaving it in drive.
So how did you figure it out though? Why? What made you drive? Where did you drive? Like
Like I
couple
was
blocks?
going I
What?
even went towards where we used to live.
Uh-huh.
I drove down there too.
Which is like a 15-minute drive.
Yeah, I drove down there and I'm like going around and I'm like, okay, maybe she missed her friends or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. Or maybe she went like got off the bus down there and she's
To a
hanging out down
store
there.
or- yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, oh man. I was like, that's what I was thinking first. Then I'm like, oh man. Then as it goes through like a movie scenario,
Yeah.
like you see those white vans pull up, and then pull you in, and it's like,
Yeah.
ah! And then like, I'm like, oh my god, you know what I mean? Like, she's just walking, and her, you know, and like, whoop, oh, and like, just gone, and I'm like, oh no,
Oh no.
goodbye everybody.
Yeah, but at that time you weren't like that. You were like, "Oh, I'm gonna find her."
Yeah, I'm gonna find them, and they're gonna pay.
So he's driving around, can't find nothing, can't find nobody. You can't.
I
Did
came
you ask
back
the neighbors?
again.
Did you ask the neighbors?
Well, we didn't really know them like
Well.
I mean, we knew them, but we didn't know them like that. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, and we're not the type of people like to be having our business out there like
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but so yeah, so I went out again. I was like, now I came back in
Mm-hmm.
and I'm searching too.
Mm-hmm.
I go past the painter again, and he sees me,
Mm-hmm.
and he just looks at me and it's like has like this look on his face like what's
Like he's
going like
confused.
I don't know
Mhm.
what's happening here like and I seen him and I was like I was like I had a pissed off look on my face
Yeah.
and I guess that's like he was like doo-doo-doo.
Yeah,
like
just
he turned back
continue
around like
painting.
doo-doo. So I leave out again and then I call mommy and I said, did you find her? Did you find her? Did you get anything? Like, no, I don't know where she is. I don't know where she is.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm like really freaking out.
Yeah.
Now all kinds of stuff is going through my head.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh man. And there's like this pit, like this
Yeah.
this
Terrible
feeling in your stomach. It's just like, oh man. I don't want to throw up all over my steering wheel.
Again, but that's another story.
Yeah,
time.
that's a different funny story time. No Corona for you.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Corona, the beer. Okay, all right.
So what happened then? So you
So
walked
then I
past
come
him
back and I'm like, okay, I had to slow myself down. Like I had to slow down because I
just
was
think.
just like, yeah, I was like, okay, hold on, wait a minute. And I'm like standing in the driveway. I'm standing
just
in-
like contemplating
like-
everything.
just like with like a dead look, like what the hell's wrong with this guy? Like you know, how you see somebody just looking up in the sky
Yeah.
and just like, what are they
Just
looking
dead
at?
thought. Just
Like,
like,
you just, and then you start following where they're looking, and they're like, "There's nothing up there," but okay,
he's crazy.
yeah. And I'm just standing there. I must have been standing there for like 15, 20 minutes. I'm like, just thinking and thinking. I'm like,
yeah.
oh. I'm
And
like,
at the time, because it was a brand new
Yeah.
house, we didn't have the cameras, we
Yup.
didn't
I'm
have
like, oh my
sensors, so
God.
like that made it even harder.
mm-hmm.
Because I mean, look how easy that would have been
Yep.
if you could
Yep.
use that to your advantage.
I'm like, oh man. And then mommy, she's like freaking out. She's like, is freaking out.
What was she doing the whole time?
Oh, she was like running around like she didn't know. Like, mommy gets into the situation, and she start. It's just, it's not funny, but it is funny, because I know she really cares. But it's just like she gets into the like this. Her brain is moving, not her body. Her brain is like moving, like and she's just like,
her brain in her
"You
mouth.
got-" like
Yeah.
it's just stuck like. When you drive up to a deer and and the deer just like,
Yeah.
like it just stops there and they're like, you're gonna get hit if you don't
Yeah.
move. Like that's why I was mom just kind of freezes up like, oh.
Mhm.
So I'm like, Mom, when was the last time that you talked to her?
Mhm. Or seen her, or
Yeah, no, I told her when did you talk to her because
Mhm.
she used to text you or call you.
Mhm.
So I was like, she's like, well, I talked to her this afternoon. Said something about, remember it was lunch,
Yeah.
something to do with lunch.
Mhm.
And you told her that, oh, you had food at school,
Uh-huh.
and then you ate it at the cafeteria. And that's what she told me.
Yeah.
So I was like, but did she say she was going anywhere after that?
Mhm.
And she was like, no, she said she was coming home. And then that was it. And I was like, no other time, nothing else. So then I started calling.
Mhm.
And I'm like, she always picks up when I call.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell is going? Now it's like just going. It's not like ringing. It's just going right to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
and I'm like, oh crap! Like it's just going right to.
Voicemail.
So now I'm looking on my phone and I'm getting the app for.
Trying to track it.
Yes.
The like find your iPhone thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's where it came into play. That's where that came into play.
Mhm.
So as soon as I opened up the app and it showed me where the location was,
Uh-huh.
and I'm looking and I'm like,
Even though it was going straight to voicemail, it was still showing you where the phone was.
yeah, yeah, it was still
And what was
last location.
what
No,
was the
it said
last
location.
location of the
The
phone?
last location it said Frankfurt,
Huh.
where the L is.
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh shit. I was like, fuck.
Yo.
That's when I ran back inside and I had to, yup, 13 clip up. Yep.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, looks like I'm going back to where I came from. So I took a drive down there.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm talking to mommy and she's like getting like, she's
Frantic,
panicking,
yeah.
like, oh my God, they're like, you gotta find her. I'm like, just let me do what I gotta do. Let me. And then as soon as I come back, and now I'm like I'm sweating now. Like I'm like just sweating because I'm so frustrated. I'm like, where is she? Where is she? And then I guess the painter must have heard me say that.
Uh-huh.
And then,
Well, and he probably saw you and mom running back and forth
yeah,
like crazy.
and then she sat. I think mommy sat at the table and she was like, oh my God, where is she? Where is she? Like, and she's like trying to think, and she's like so like, she was so like.
Like her head was running
Yeah,
1,000.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad for her though, but it was, and I'm like, oh man, I'm like, and then you start thinking about like, oh my God, what am I gonna, how are we gonna do this? Like, how is this possible? Like,
Yeah.
you start thinking about all
Well,
these things.
especially
Like, it's
knowing
just
like the 24-hour missing, like it's all up to you until it's 24 hours.
And I'm like, oh my, I'm like, this is crazy. This is crazy. This is really crazy because I couldn't even. I just started going back to my bad ways, and I was just like
thinking the worst.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to go there, but if I have to, I'm gonna go there.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta stay cool. I said, okay, let me stay cool for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the painter looks back and he's looking at us, and then he's like, and he even asked me a question like, do you want this one white or you want this one white? I was like, I don't care.
I don't care.
And mommy, and I guess that's when he saw mommy, and then he was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
back to
They're
painting
going through
again. Like,
something, so.
yeah, like, oh, they must be arguing or something.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not getting involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
And just kept on. So now I'm just like, now I'm pacing.
Mm.
I'm going in, I'm going out. I'm going in, I'm going out. I'm like, okay, she got to come back. Maybe she just took a walk somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she's just walking. I said, she don't go. She just doesn't go like that.
Mm-hmm.
I said, and if something was to happen, or if she did come, I'm thinking to myself, okay, the painter's here, so he probably saw her if she did come in.
Mm-hmm.
But he's painting.
When he had said
And
something.
and he turned and he said, oh, did you want this? So I'm like, okay, well, maybe he, like,
Maybe
he
he
didn't
didn't
see
see
it.
her.
He
Yeah.
didn't see her. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So now that's when I went out and then I talked to the neighbor. I was like, did you see, Alex anywhere? You
Uh huh.
know, and then
Same thing.
Tom,
No.
same thing because he was like, I no,
Mhm.
and no,
So by this time, you already went out like 4 times.
yeah, yeah. Mommy was walking around. I found mommy. I think mommy was down the street. She was walking down the street,
Yo.
and she was just like she was so red and like flushed and like she was just she was on her like I was like, oh my god, I said,
Mm.
she's about to die. Like
Oh
she is
man.
like her heart is like, oh my god, and I'm like, I can't have her like that, and I'm gonna find my daughter.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna find her. It felt like you know what? It felt like it was like hours gone by. Like really, like like a full day
Yeah.
of like just
Searching.
searching. When in actuality, it was only like maybe 3 hours, I think total, maybe with everything. But it was just like what that fit. It's just I couldn't get over that feeling.
Mhm.
It's just an odd feeling. But so we were like, what the hell do we do? What do we do? And just thinking, and mommy again said, "Did you try to track her phone?" And that's when I tried to track the phone. No, so I did try to track the phone, and it didn't give me. It gave me the last location, right? So
That's
like I
when
said
you
before,
went.
that's when I went over there. Then when I came back, I think that your phone was dead, and you had it plugged in. So when it turned back on,
That's what the last.
that's
location
what the
was.
last
'Cause you went to
location
check
was.
again.
Yeah. So then when I
Then
did
it
it
said
again,
the house.
yes. When I did it again, it said the house.
Mm.
So I was like, "What?" I was like, "This thing is messed up." Like this, now I'm getting pissed off at the app. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, "This is giving me." Instead
You're
of
like,
Franklin,
"No way."
now it's at my house. I'm like, I'm at my house. I'm like, there's nobody here. Like you know what I mean? Like it was
Yeah.
crazy. So that's why I was like, I'm like, wait a minute, mom. I'm like, this is telling me she's in the house. That's what it's saying.
But by that
And she's
point,
like, no,
you're,
but we're all
yeah.
we checked. You checked.
Mhm.
Like you know what I mean?
And you're both inside doing this in front of the painter.
Yeah, and
Right.
he's just painting. He's just like, what's the matter? No, he's just
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that
And I'm
looks
like,
nice.
Yeah. Oh, you want? Oh, never mind. Oh, yeah. I'm like, so and then finally, I'm like,
He must have heard something
yeah.
that was like,
yeah, like,
let me ask.
yeah. I said,
them.
because we were both sitting on the bed, like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Like, what is happening?
Like, what's the next move?
Yeah.
What do we do?
And then I'm like, okay, I gotta figure this out. I said I gotta figure this out. I gotta figure this out. I'm like, I can't believe she's missing. Like, I can't believe she's missing. I said, there's no possible way. And I'm walking through the hall,
Mm-hmm.
and mommy goes outside through the side door again, and she goes out to the front,
Mm-hmm.
and she goes and she's looking, and she's like kind of like panic, like in a panic, like I don't know where, like that lost of direction, like, and it's just everything's in a blur,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, I don't know, and so I'm coming down the hall, and now I'm like all battle geared up, and I'm and I'm coming down the hall, go down the steps, and he's by the front door. And he turns to me, he says, what's the matter? I guess he didn't want to say nothing in front of like the
Mommy,
wife, you know what I mean? My wife, so he's like, oh, what's the matter? Everything okay? I was like, did you see my daughter?
Yeah.
He's like, what? Yeah? Well,
Where
you
is
see
she?
us
Where did
running
you-
around here. What the hell you think we're doing? Like we're running around like wouldn't he's like, why didn't you just ask me? I was like, didn't you hear us? Like you couldn't hear us like screaming
You
her
see me
name.
go in and out of
like,
the house 5 times.
Like what the hell? And you don't got nothing to say?
Uh-huh.
I said, you heard me.
Uh-huh.
And then he's laughing. And I'm like, what the are you laughing at? Like this ain't funny. Like, where is she at? Now I'm thinking, the first thought in my head, I was like, oh, he kidnapped my daughter, and he's in my house, and he's laughing at me, and I'm asking him. I said, oh, you're going to die now. Like, and he's like, why didn't you just ask me? I'm like, because you were painting my house and I'm paying for you, so I'm not worried about you.
Yeah.
I'm worried
you
about
didn't
the
say
person
anything
that's
from
missing.
The jump. Yeah.
He's like, who's missing? I was like, I just
My
said,
daughter.
did you see my daughter? My daughter is missing. No, 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 no. No, you didn't see her, or yes, you did see her, or you know where she is. Yeah, I seen her. I was like, okay, when did you see her?
And where is she?
He said, like 3:30. I was like, okay, it is this time it's 8:00. That's what time it was, because I remember that because he had to go before 9, and mommy had started cooking, and then it was I remember it was pasta and meat sauce. So he's like 3:30. It's like 3:30. I'm like, we're running around here like madmen, and you don't ask what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Like, I would be like, okay, I'm not sticking around here now. I gotta go. Like, what is going on? Like, what
a little crazy.
Yeah, like, not even. Oh, what's the matter? Like. So he says to me, he says, well, she was here at 3:30. I said, did she go anywhere? And he said, yeah. I said, okay, where did she go? Back there.
And he's pointing to where?
Yeah, he's pointing towards your room, like down the hall.
Yeah.
I was like, in this house,
Are
or
you sure?
outside? Like, where are you? What do you? No, she's in a room. I said hi to her when she came in. She said she was tired and she went to sleep. I said, I checked her room. She's not in her room. He said, yes, she is.
Yes,
she hadn't come out. She said she was tired. I said, what? I said, you're f***ing lying. Like, and then I ran to the room, and then I tapped the bed. Oh my God. I said, are you kidding me? I said, the whole
What did you find? How did you find me? With the covers?
Yeah, at first, like, of course, yeah, when I can see why, because those blankets were really thick.
Puffy.
Like puffy, yeah. So you were under the covers the whole damn time. And I'm like, at first I hit the bed, and you didn't even move. So I was like, there's nobody here. And I was like, okay. I said, oh my God. Alex. She's like, what? Then I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, now I'm like, just, I don't know why, but I got upset. I'm like, Mom, she's in the house. She's in the house. And she's like, what? What do you mean? And she comes running in, and I hear, oh my God, she's in the bed. I'm like, did you check the bed? She's like, I looked inside. I was like, but did you check the bed? She's like, I didn't check the bed. I just looked inside. It was dark, and I didn't see anybody. I was like, oh my God. I was like, Jesus. Oh my God. I called everybody and their mother, and they're thinking that our daughter got kidnapped.
So what had happened was I got home a little early from school, and I came inside, and I went to sleep. And my phone was dead, because I would use it,
and that's why it was giving me the last location, and then when it turned back on, it gave me the house location.
Because it was plugged in.
Yep. I was like, oh my goodness.
So I wake up, and my phone is like, ding, 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 ding. And my mom and dad are screaming and yelling. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I take a nap for a couple hours.
Like, shut up. I'm trying to sleep.
I look at my phone. I got like 50 text messages. I got like 100 missed calls. I got voicemails. I got the voicemail from my best friend's mom. I'm like, oh my God, everybody probably thinks like I'm dead or something happened.
That is the craziest thing. That is the craziest thing. And then just to go in there, but it was the craziest. But it was the
most
happiest.
relieving.
It was like, oh my goodness, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my goodness. But I wanted to strangle her at the same time.
Me?
Yeah. Because
Why?
you didn't have your damn phone on. And you let your phone die.
Listen.
Now you're going to sleep. Night, night.
Yeah, that's the story of me going missing for a couple hours.
Yeah.
That was what, like 16, 15, 16, something like
No,
that?
you were 15. Yeah, 15.
Yeah. So just imagine that.
Man, oh man.
Ay, ay, ay. So, yeah, that's some crazy stuff. That is crazy. I want to thank you guys again for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, make sure that you subscribe, like, share this,
Smash that like button.
smash it. And we also have an Instagram page that you can follow us on. It's the What You Say podcast. And we give little snippets of the videos when they come out to give you a little taste of it. And also you can give us suggestions. You could DM us. We'll post polls and everything like that. So you just give us topics and we'll talk about them.
What you say?
Yep. And if this is another time of you tuning in, thank you for your support. We really appreciate
We
the
really
love.
do.
And yeah, just let us know. Give us some feedback. Give us some comments. Let us know if we suck or not.
Yep, but you know what? Stay true to you, boo boo.
Yep. Always be you. And
Peace
peace out, girl.